Syracuse football has a secret weapon. His name is Trebor Pena.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And on today's mini podcast, we are going over the emergence of Trebor Pena, who is the secret weapon for Syracuse football. Shh. Don't tell anyone about Trebor Pena, all right? Let's just keep this one in house, all right? And happy Labor Day, by the way. So we're doing a mini podcast here on Labor Day. Against Ohio, Trebor Pena, a 6-foot, 180-pound receiver, a redshirt junior. He had 6 catches for 78 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. So that is 1, 2, 3 total touchdowns for Trebor Pena. He completes the hat trick against Ohio. He was the leading receiver on Syracuse aside from Oronde Gadsden. And prior to Saturday, this is a mind-blowing stat. You ready for this? Prior to Saturday, Trebor Pena had just 3 total touchdowns in his career. So in one game, he has doubled his total touchdowns. Unbelievable. And he also only had 25 career catches prior to Saturday. He had 6 of them against Ohio. Now, last season, he only played 1 game, and that was the Army game. And for the most part, over the course of his career, he has been primarily a return man. So he hasn't been much of a factor on Syracuse's offense, and he's been here since 2020. He hasn't really been an offensive contributor, but this season is where I think he is going to break out. I don't think this is a fluke by any means. Is he going to have 3 touchdowns every single game? No, that is obviously not realistic, but can he be one of the leading receivers on Syracuse football? Yes, he can. In fact, he might be the leading receiver aside from Oronde Gadsden this season. This is not the reason why I believe this is because Trebor Pena had a great spring game, 7 catches, 130 yards. And then he followed that up with a great training camp. And then in his first game against Ohio, he was a featured piece and capitalizes on the opportunity, right? It's one thing to have the opportunity. It's another thing to seize the opportunity. And that's what Trebor Pena did against Ohio. 6 catches, 78 yards, 3 total touchdowns. He is someone who primarily will operate in the slot for this team. He had a few nice catches. His big one was his first catch of the game where he made a leaping grab over the middle of the field for about 20 yards. It did set up the first touchdown of the game. And then also he can run after the catch. There was a 3rd and 13 conversion later in the second quarter where he caught it about 7 yards short of the first down. And he didn't really zigzag, but he followed his blocks and was able to pick up a first down on a 3rd and 13 when he caught the ball about 6-7 yards behind the line to gain. So Trebor Pena, after having a strong spring game, strong training camp, great first game, I don't think this is just a one-off. I think he is going to be a big piece to the puzzle for Syracuse football's offense. Now, coming up, we're going to talk about exactly what his emergence does and how it helps the Orange. Tired after lunch? You're not alone. In fact, research shows that more than 70% of us hit the wall after lunch. Let a 5-hour energy shot help you leap over that wall instead of crashing into it. With 0 sugar and a convenient portable sides, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5-Hour Energy website has flavors galore like watermelon, tropical burst, grape berry, and more. There is a flavor for everyone. Try them all. On the site, you even have the option to build your own 12-pack or 24-pack. You choose the flavors, and it is delivered right to your door. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, and get some 5-Hour Energy product today. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Hey, Locked On Syracuse fans. I want to take a moment to give you a heads up on a brand new mobile game that I think you're going to love as much as I do. Ultimate College Football HC. In this amazing game and simulation, you get to step into the shoes of a head coach and lead your college football program to glory. Can you imagine actually being the head coach of Syracuse, from recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps and handling school scholarships? You control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands. Will you be able to handle the pressure? And here's what I really love about the game. You are responsible for calling offensive plays during the games. Your strategy will not only determine the success of your football season, but will shape the future and legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football HC is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. You can play on the go as you want and when you want to. And of course, we have a special offer for Locked On Syracuse fans. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB in all caps inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk, as it will get your team off to a strong start. To download the game, just visit ultimate-cfb.com or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate College Football HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. Now that we covered that Trebor Pena has clearly emerged and why I believe this is not a one-off performance, let's go over what his emergence actually does for Syracuse football, why this is so important. Well, first and foremost, it gives Kyle McCord another toy to play with, another weapon on the team, right? Now you got Oronde Gadsden you got to worry about, obviously. LeQuint Allen out of the backfield, obviously. We know that. Zeed Haynes is a burner. We saw a long grab he had against Ohio. Only one long grab, but still had 70 receiving yards. And now we can also pencil in Trebor Pena. So he gives this team another weapon, and because this team has another weapon, it allows the other options, like Oronde Gadsden or Zeed Haynes, to get one-on-one coverage. Especially Oronde Gadsden, he is deadly in one-on-one coverage, but defenses now have to respect Trebor Pena and his pass-catching ability. That'll open the door even more up for Oronde Gadsden, who, by the way, had over 100 receiving yards and a touchdown against Ohio on Saturday. Secondly, on the injury front, Colorado State transfer Justus Ross-Simmons. I know we're all excited to see him play eventually. He's currently dealing with a hamstring injury, which has been nagging for quite a while, according to Fran Brown. He doesn't need to rush back. It's not that we don't want him on the field, but with Trebor Pena and his emergence, you're never going to say no to an additional weapon on the team. But Syracuse does have an adequate number of pass catchers for Kyle McCord to throw to with Trebor Pena's emergence, because you have Oronde Gadsden, you have Trebor Pena, you have Zeed Haynes, you still have Amari Hatcher and Jackson Meeks who can make plays. You have LeQuint Allen out of the backfield. There is enough options on the offense to where you don't have to rush a guy like Justus Ross-Simmons back. In the past with Syracuse football, and if you take a look at their depth in the past, right, that wasn't necessarily the case. Where if a guy went down, think about like Oronde Gadsden last season, there's nobody there who can really replace him. Nobody. Lack of depth. But Syracuse has a lot of weapons. Trebor Pena gives them another weapon, and also the fact that we don't need to rush back Justus Ross-Simmons. We can let him get 100% healthy, and then we can see what the guy can do. I have high hopes for Justus Ross-Simmons. I think he's going to be a very good player. But with Trebor Pena emerging, they don't need to rush him back. Let the injury heal. It sounds simple, but oftentimes when a team really needs a player, they're going to force him back, or the player is going to want to get back, not at 100%. They might be at 90%, but when you're playing at 90%, you're at risk of re-injuring it and making it worse. So we don't need to rush Justus Ross-Simmons back. Finally, this is not really on the emerging front and what it does. Kyle McCord, I think, was the player of the game, right? He had over 350 yards. He had 4 touchdowns, his 1 interception. I think we can all call that a mulligan interception, an arm punt. It was on a 3rd and 17. It didn't really matter. It was inconsequential. And it was, like I said, an arm punt. Trebor Pena, does he get second place? Is he the runner-up? Is it Oronde Gadsden? Is it LeQuint Allen? I would argue that Trebor Pena is the runner-up for player of the week for Syracuse, right behind Kyle McCord because he had 3 touchdowns. He had over 80 scrimmage yards because he had 9 rushing yards as well as 78 receiving, and also 6 catches. So Trebor Pena has emerged for this team. It is excellent. Another weapon on this offense. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, click that like button. And if you really liked it, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications so you know right away when I am dropping the next podcast. As far as future plans, we got Mike McAllister and Neil Adler. Actually, you can flip that order. Neil Adler, then Mike McAllister on the podcast in the coming days. All right, everyone, enjoy your Labor Day.